So pick up, but also self-esteem, how to keep a relationship healthy, the roles of men and women in society, etc. My experience with voicing the views advocated in the manosphere in public has nearly always been negative. I have 3 to 4 good male friends who are interested in pickup, and they love it. But these friends are the exception rather than the rule. My parents, beta dad, controlling mom, think my attitude towards women is sexist, and my opinion of ONSs, one-night stands, disgusting. Just about everybody I know subscribes to the Disney soulmate view of relationships, and some of my contemporaries, I'm 21, are even starting to settle down and get married. God help them. Talking to girls in bed about what they find attractive in a man is interesting, if only to see the extent to which they delude themselves, but ultimately counterproductive, since a woman, tacitly, expects a man to know how to express his sexuality. Can we as men ever talk about these things in public? What are your experiences? Before I begin, let me say that I think it's encouraging to see such an insightful question posed by so young a man. From The Matrix. Morpheus. The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around. What do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so inured, so hopelessly dependent on that system, that they will fight to protect it. Every random chump within earshot of your conversation about game, about your changed way of seeing intergender relations, about your most objective critical observations of how women are, etc. Understand, that chump waits every day for an opportunity to correct you in as public a way as he's able to muster. That AFC who's been fed on a steady diet of noble intent with ambitions of endearing a woman's intimacy through his unique form of chivalry, that guy, he's aching for an opportunity to prove his quality by publicly redressing a villain like you for your chauvinism. Even under the conditions of relative anonymity, like the internet, he will still cling to that want of proving his uniqueness, just on the off chance that a woman might read his rebuff and be fatefully attracted to him. This is the bread and butter of the white knight beta. It's best to assume that most guys who pick up on just your game vibe, to say nothing of overtly talking about it, are going to side with the feminine imperative by default. For practitioners of beta game, which is to say the better part of 90% of guys, this is an organic opportunity to identify with women and engage in the same shaming conventions women use without the fear of having it seem contrived. Now this is the mechanics of it, but the rabbit hole goes deeper than that. For the beta game that our noble white knight is so invested in to work, he depends on an assumed system. He depends upon reaffirming his assumed understanding of how to best achieve a woman's intimacy, sex. He must reaffirm that presumption by defending it and looking for opportunities to show he adheres to the feminine imperative, or the version of the imperative he's been taught to believe. His game, his ego-invested identity, is literally dependent upon that system. So not only is he defending his game and his ego, he's also defending the social architecture that makes his beta game even possible. You see, when an AFC clings to the mental schemas that make up an AFC mindset, it requires a constant need for affirmation and reinforcement, particularly in light of his glaring lack of verifiable success with women while clinging to and behaving in accordance with the mindset. AFCs are like crabs in a barrel. Once one gets to the top to climb out, another drags him back in. The AFC needs other AFCs to affirm his blatantly obvious lack of success. He needs other AFCs to tell him, "Don't worry, just be yourself." Or, "She's not a quality woman because she can't see how great a guy you are." So when an AFC finally does get a second date, and then finally does get laid, it becomes the ultimate validation for his mindset. See, you just have to be a patient, nice guy, and the right one really does come along. This is when the self-righteous phase begins, and he can begin telling his PUA friends that his game does work. And he's getting some now without all the positive masculinity claptrap. In actuality, he rationalizes away all of the conditions that led up to him getting the girlfriend and the fundamental flaw that he's settling for a woman who'd fuck him. But this doesn't stop him from claiming a moral high ground. His long wait is over, and he's finally hit white knight pay dirt.